Welcome back to Balmer's Workshop. Today we're going to have a look at a roll cage that I put together for a 1977 International Scout. Thanks so much for all the subscriptions that I've had lately. Really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Going to keep lots of content coming your way, and give a like if you find the videos worthy. Let's get on with the little walk-around tour of this wonderful International Scout 1977. This thing is super clean. I kind of wish I had gone ahead and done video earlier, to be honest with you. Let me back up here so you can actually see what we're looking at. Anyway, better late than never, and this is what we've got. Have a look back here. This is some of the only rust you'll find on the thing. It's just a little bit down in the corners of the box there, and again this side is really similar. We've got that same rust coming through just there, which is going to be repaired shortly after the cage gets powder. In fact, while the cage is being powder coated, and this guy's going to have a super solid rig after this. Nice aftermarket bumper, similar to the work that I do, very similar to the work that I do in terms of my most utilitarian and simple stuff. I quite like it, but it's not my bumper. This is done by another fabricator. So that's something that came with the vehicle when the customer bought it, as did a completely stock interior. You can see here it's got some I really like the seats. I think they're great, really cool Brady Bunch style seats. Really nice fabric on them, in incredibly good shape, just almost mint. So the original plan that the owner had was to swap those out and to go to these quite large leather seats out of I believe a van or a more modern truck. But they don't fit real well with the cage. It puts the passenger's head pretty close to the bars, and it's a bit of a problem. And in my opinion, they don't look anywhere near as good in the truck either. So it looks like the owner is going with either the stock seats, or he was talking about possibly taking seats out of another vehicle, which I'm having a tough time remembering what model that is right now. So maybe I'll add that in as a caption later. Front end of the truck right there with the hood up, pretty cool looking, I think. It's got some aftermarket lights in it by KC. I'm guessing they're pretty bright and show a good color. Stock 345 engine, runs really well. It's got a squeaky or squealy alternator belt, unfortunately, right now, so I'm not going to fire it up because it's not going to sound great. But when the belt is not squealing, it sounds really nice. So we'll change out that alternator belt most likely, and then that'll sort that out. Anyway, we can go over this cage quickly. Here you've got some really nice A-pillar mounts that are done by a company called Anything Scout. You can see I've gusseted them there. Get my shadow out of the way. Gusseted them up the inside. This is 5/16 plate. That's all CNC plasma cut and formed, CNC formed, to fit really nicely up around the dash, and it alleviates the issue of having a tube coming up in this area and obscuring your lights, some of your gauges, and also something to smash your leg on every time you get in and out of the vehicle. So this keeps everything clear. The brake, the e-brake is all accessible. The only thing we've had to remove is a vent handle, which I think we can go ahead and just remount on the inside of that A-pillar support after we're all done. So a little view of the top of the cage here. We've got a simple hoop over the A-pillar, raked back to the same angle as the windshield, or at least very close to the angle of the windshield. Right now the windshield's been removed so that we can get this cage out of here. Nice thing with these Scouts is that the windshields actually drop right in above this cowl, and there's just a couple of bolts that you can access right in through the door hinge area. So that's a big bonus for us. We don't have to make a two-piece cage. In that case, I can just leave it all as a one-piece, and we can remove it fairly easily. If not for that, then it'd be real difficult to get this cage out as a single piece. So I've got double shear brackets down here on the B-pillar mount, or B-pillar hoop rather, that will make it a challenge to get the cage up and back, as the A-pillar ones do need to slide back significantly before they can lift out, and you wouldn't be able to do that with those there. So having the windshield out allows me to to pull the cage out as one piece, and that's a real bonus. You can see there we've got some overhead protection for the rear passengers and side protection, and I've marked that I'm going to put drill some holes through these areas for seat belt mounts, and those will be reinforced with a tube that gets welded inside of them. So this is an 8-point cage. You can see the 2 rear points of attachment for the driver's side there, and then for the passenger side over here. And working our way around, give you a look of the cage from the back. And again, you can see the double shear B-pillar mount down there, and our A-pillar mount. Get that out of the way, and our A-pillar mount again. So pretty solid cage. As you can see, these outside bars are going to be removed. Reason being is they just come too close to the driver and passengers' heads, and it's going to be a problem with injuries. So we're not going to include those. We'll only have the center 2 bars, and even those probably will get padded because it's reasonable that you could bang your head off of them when you're wheeling. So we're going to get rid of these outside ones and leave just the center 2, but I'm going to leave these outside ones in as bracing while I remove this cage to fully weld it up, so that it keeps everything rigid. And of course I'll have the cage all cross braced as well before I pull it out. But anyway, I wanted to give you a quick run around the vehicle. It is a very, very clean little rig, or big rig. To me it's big. I'm used to working on Suzukis more than anything. And there it is. I'll do a little welding on this thing, pull all the seats out of it, do a little welding on this cage while it's in, protect the vehicle of course, before doing that. And then we'll get back to you with a few welded shots here. Real quick walk around now that it's all painted up. I'll open the door up for you here so you can have a decent look. This cage is made out of 1.75 by 120 wall ERW. We didn't use DOM on this. It's not a competition cage, and ERW holds up just fine for what we call a sport cage, non-competition use. We used front A-pillar brackets from Anything Scout. These have fit up excellent. I was really happy with their product. Form fitting, and relieves all the issues that you normally have with A-pillar mounts, where they occlude a bunch of the things like your e-brake and vent handles and stuff like that, and they also wind up smashing your knees every time you get in and out of the vehicle. So a good nod to Scouts, or Anything Scout, for that product. A really fantastic item. And the rest of the cage is pretty straightforward. We went with kind of a period correct design, something that looks like it would have been put together potentially in the same era the truck was built. Again, an 8-point cage all put together with grade 8 hardware. Sandwich plates on the underside of the B-pillar bar, meaning these mounts right here have sandwich plates underneath. Everything else is thick fender washers back here, because sandwich plates were challenging and they're going to trap a lot of dirt up in the back side of the fender if we use them. So in this case we decided to go with washers, and I'll show you that in a few minutes here. Good head openings here for passengers to try to avoid as much as possible any contact with the bars on rough terrain, and of course with the front as well. We've just gone with the center bars rather than outsides, again to avoid any issues with passengers hitting their heads. And we should have a good stable cage regardless of not having those outside bars. Open up here. This side has been bolted in and is good to go. Everything else is the same way, bolted in and ready to go. The only one we haven't done so far is this guy right here, and that's because there's a rusted mount underneath that's going to be replaced later, so there's no point putting a bolt in there yet. But basically there you go. Really happy with the way it turned out. Fits the vehicle very nicely. Only super minor mods had to be made in order to fit everything back together in the interior. Examples of that are that the Visors for the windshield had to be moved in, or will have to be moved in just slightly. You can see the mounts, or stock mounts here, are going to be in the way, so we're just going to move them in to right around here, and then everything's going to line up really nice for them. And the rear view mirror, I believe, may have to come down just slightly, but now looking at it, maybe it doesn't even need to. So yeah, pretty clean job. I was really happy with how it turned out. Customer's happy, and hopefully you think it's cool.